and welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Hi everyone, it's Kim from the Shamrock Quilt Studio, and I'm here today to remind you about something very important. If you're sewing a lot like I am, take the time to do a little bit of cleaning on your machine. Now this past week, not only did I do stitching for quilting, but I also did a little project for the family where I had to change out my needle and sew some knit fabric. And that's something I don't do very often, but occasionally that does happen. So I'm taking the opportunity today to clean my machine a bit. And when I get in here and look at it, it sure is dusty. I don't know where all this dust comes from. Now, you want to make sure, and I've got a new little vacuum cleaner with a little attachment, and I'm just going to come here on the top and kind of vacuum that out and then use a little dampish cloth to just kind of wipe it down to get the dust. Now, I'm not going to blow into the machine because they say that's very bad for it. But I also want to look in here and make sure that we don't have a whole lot of dust going on. And they always say to unplug your machine, but I'm living on the edge. I'm nowhere near the foot pedal, so if it were to turn itself on, it would be very, very unusual. And I'm trying to stay out from underneath that needle. And you can, I don't know if you can see from where you're looking, but just in dusting this with this little brush that came with it, I'm getting a pretty good bit out of it. And I think what I'm going to do too is the other day when I did that sewing on the knit, now the actual knit sewing wasn't that much, so I just put that needle back in. But the needle that I took out of the machine that I had been using for quilting had been used a good little bit. So I'm going to take this opportunity to switch out my needle for a new one. And I'm going to take that needle out and then I'm going to turn it back on. There we go. And then take the needle plate off and I'm going to get down in here. I like to kind of dust before I take the pieces out. And I'm going to get it a little closer to me. I don't think you can see much from our overhead camera. We really need to do this from my side so you can see. But I'm getting down in there into the place where the bobbin goes. Around there, around where this needle comes underneath the plate of the machine is usually where you get all of the lint. And the lint is typically either from your fabrics or it's from that thread going down and coming up. And you know, it's just a little micro piece of material that, or not material, but of fiber that comes off every time that thread and that needle goes down in the machine. And the other thing that I usually like to have, and I don't have it here with me, is a little bit of sewing machine oil. I put just a little, like half a drop on my brush so it attracts the dust. It's not enough to cause a problem, but it's just enough sometimes to encourage that dust to come with the brush. And then I always, you know, try to pull the dust off the brush as I'm cleaning. Now that looks pretty good. I don't see near as much. And sometimes I'll go way down deep in there and kind of wiggle it around and see. Kind of like taking its temperature, seeing what comes up on my brush. And there is a little bit of lint down in there. And without taking the cover off, I don't think we're going to get to it, and I'm not real comfortable in doing that with this machine. Usually as my machines get older, I will be a little more aggressive in how I clean these machines and maintain them, because when they get closer to the point where you may need to replace them or you want to upgrade them, I'm not quite as cautious about what I might do. And that honestly tends to be the take I take on just about everything. Okay, so we got that clean. Let's clean these pieces and put them back in. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how much lint I've got here on the table. Let me grab a new needle. I have 2 boxes that I keep for needles. These are hand sewing needles and these are machine needles. And I try to keep them either in the package if they haven't been opened, or if they have been opened, in their little containers, so that I know what I'm using. And this looks like it's a needle. It's got a 2-color. It's a Smith's quilting needle 9014, I think is what was in there. And I'm going to replace it with the same thing. It has kind of a little green stripe, and then I think the other one is blue. But it is a quilting needle, and that's what we're going to be doing. So that's what we're going to put in the machine. And again, my recommendation is to turn off the machine. But like I said, I'm living dangerously. Now these I usually put in my pin cushion for a while, just in case I need an emergency needle. Okay, so we've got a new needle. Let's get our bobbin back in here. And you know, your thread that you use could also play a role in how dusty your machine gets. I've heard people talk about certain brands of thread give off more dust than others. Okay, we're going to put our first piece on here, and we're going to use a screwdriver to make sure that it's tightened. I always find this very awkward. Okay, that's nice and tight. Put that away. I'm going to put this back up here where it goes. And then we're going to, this must be the foot I had on here. I'll put that on there. And then we're going to put our thread back on and rethread it. Now my machine doesn't have to have its tension set very often. It has an auto tension, which I've found in the years that I've been sewing with this to be pretty accurate. And it also has a threader, which I absolutely love. I will never buy a modern machine without a threader again. I might obtain a vintage machine, but not a modern machine. Okay, and I'm going to put my little brushes back in here. Put my seam guide back. It's not really set up, it's just there for storage. And then I'm going to move this machine and adjust this camera so you can see just what's on this table. Okay, so here I'm going to gather it all up because it may be hard to see on this green board. This green board sometimes gives the cameras problems because it doesn't know how to color correct for it. All this came out of the machine. And that's just cleaning it from probably a month or two. And as you've been following my channel, you know I'm not a heavy sewer. There are some days that I'm a heavy sewer, but in general I'm not. That's a lot of dust for a quick clean. And you see how long that took. It didn't take very long at all. So it's certainly something that's doable frequently to keep our machines in tip-top shape. Keep them running longer. They're expensive. We don't need any extra wear and tear on our machines. And now we're ready to sew again. So we're ready to start on some new projects and also finish up some ones we've started. The machine's ready. I'm ready. Hope to see you soon. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time at the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Bye.